watching Cron On, streaming now from Cron 4, the Bay Area's local news station.
Well, the wait is long over. On Friday, the U.S. government released a much-anticipated report on everything it knows about UFOs, or UAPs, as they are now called. Congress demanded the unclassified report after numerous reports from the U.S. military of objects moving erratically in our sky. But did the report that they released answer any real questions? The journalist behind MysteryWire.com, George Knapp, is joining me now to discuss it all. George, a lot of people saying the report left much to be desired.
Hi, Noel. Yeah, when we spoke on Friday, of course, the report was not out yet, so we had to guess what may or may not be in it, and I think our guesses were right on the money. Essentially, this 9-page report leaves out a whole bunch of stuff that we already know about the UFO issue. Things like Roswell and Area 51 and alleged abductions and all kinds of dozens of reports that have been reported over the years in the public arena. What this report does is basically two things. One, it says UFOs, UAPs, are real physical objects, and two, they're not ours. But it leaves open a lot of options. For example, is it foreign technology? They said, we don't have any evidence to prove that, but we'll leave it on the table. Is it secret American technology? We can't prove that either, but we'll leave that option open. There were 144 cases that were analyzed from 2004 through the present time, 2021. Of those 144 cases, 143 remain unidentified. More than half of those, 80 of the cases, were detected on multiple sensor systems. That means they're not clouds, they're not birds, these are physical objects. Some of them behave in ways that are more advanced than any technology that we know to exist. They can accelerate at great lengths. They make incredible aerial maneuvers that we haven't seen before. Some of them don't move around at all, but it's remarkable in that they just sit there up 30,000 feet or so off the East Coast, right near a naval air station. They sit there in high winds and don't move, even though they've got no known propulsion system. So it's a real legitimate mystery. 11 of those cases involved near mid-air collisions by military pilots. There were at least 18 cases that demonstrated advanced technology way beyond anything that we know existed. So the UAP Task Force report released by the National Intelligence Director made some recommendations that we need to standardize procedures. We need to collect this information. We probably need to put some money into this process if we're going to ever understand what these things are.
Is there any talk about intercepting some of these objects?
It's not, nothing is discussed in this report about intercepting. I do happen to know they had some plans to try to do that off the East Coast, the Oceana Naval Air Station. I don't believe they succeeded. However, there are plans being set into place, one of them in particular, the U.S. Air Force, which hasn't said much of anything since the whole UFO flap really heated up 3.5 years ago, has agreed to, and I guess they already started it last November, setting up essentially UFO monitoring stations in places where they've seen these things pop up over and over again. There is going to be a centralized collection process set up within the UAP task force, they've sent out a directive to all military units from the Undersecretary of Defense on Friday after this report came out and said, look, everybody needs to get on board with this. Pilots who are worried about reporting these things need to get over the stigma. We want all of this information to come into a central belly button so it can be analyzed properly in the future.
I mean, it really is a stigma, right? You say there's only been 141 reports that they actually were analyzing in this, but safe to say there's likely more that have been seen that haven't been reported due to that stigma?
Oh my gosh, yes. I mean, I know personally of pilots who were flying in these areas where they were seeing them almost every day during 2014 and 2015, and they would just kind of look the other way because they felt it was a career killer to report something like this. So they're making it directly known to these pilots, aviators, and others that there's not going to be any consequences for reporting it. In fact, it's expected. So it's kind of an exciting time. I know a lot of people are disappointed about what it was not included in this report, but it represents a real shift in attitude on the part of the military. No more swamp gas, no more weather balloons type debunking explanations. They really want to get to the bottom of it.
Well, you know, for you, being someone who has followed this so closely, what kind of main questions do you have left? I'm sure there's many.
Well, You know, we know, as I think I mentioned to you earlier last Friday, that there was a much larger report that was presented to Congress, something like in excess of 80 pages, I was told, that includes at least 10 videos, multiple photos, and all the sensor data. That's why that report remains classified. They don't want to reveal to our adversaries here what kind of sensors they have, what their capabilities are. It'd really be great to be able to see some of that information. Whether we will or not, I don't know. Over the weekend, Congressman Adam Schiff, who chairs the House Intelligence Committee, said that after he read the report, it is clear that these UAP instances are not isolated, and he wants to be able to share as much information as possible with the public. Senator Harry Reid, the former Senate Majority Leader, said he wants to see a permanent program funded and created, perhaps within NASA. Former Senator Bill Nelson, who's now the head of NASA, said he has read this report. He was impressed by it, and he said, not coincidentally, that he does not believe we are alone in the universe. And then Senator Marco Rubio commented over the weekend, we need to get a grip on this and figure out this mystery. He says this is just the first step in a long journey to try to figure out what these things are.
Well, and I think there's lots of talk lately, you know, about multiplanetary lifestyles from, you know, people like Elon Musk, and you know, they want us to be exploring our universe a little bit greater. But like you said, there's stigmas, and you know, some people might still say, oh, there's no way, you know, we are the only ones on in this universe. What should the general public take away from this report?
Well, that there has been a shift in the attitude of the U.S. military. The Pentagon has debunked all this for a long time. Since 1969, when Project Blue Book ended, they've been saying this is not a matter of national security. We don't see any benefit in studying this further. Forget about it, everyone, move on. Well, behind the scenes, the Pentagon for decades has confided in other departments that it is real, that these things are not fictitious, that they're physical objects, they're craft. We don't know where they're from, and we should find out. Now, instead of having one narrative behind the scenes and telling the public something else, they're saying we need to get on board on this. It's finally time to figure it out. That's a major shift in attitude from what we've seen for the last 74 years.
I feel like we might be getting into this a little late, but better late than never, right?
Yeah, I'm encouraged. I mean, you know, there's a lot that was not included in this report, obviously, but for this change to be made, for them to say we need to put some money into it and figure it out, that's a major shift, and it's very encouraging.
George, thank you so much for all your insight. Appreciate it.
Thanks, Noel.